Assalamu alaikum and welcome to Abesent Justice, a brand new show with me, Muazzam Beg. 2011 will most likely be remembered as the year of the Arab Spring. Tired of decades of autocratic and repressive rule, protesters from Morocco to Saudi Arabia mobilized on the streets demanding freedom, justice and democracy. One country which was very swift to respond to the unrest was Morocco. King Mohammed VI swiftly introduced reforms which were seen as long overdue, but progressive nonetheless. However, many Islamist political prisoners say that more still needs to be done. Human rights organizations have frequently reported cases of beatings, denial of medicine and legal representation, torture and sexual abuse of the worst kind. We'll be discussing all these issues and more in a few minutes. But first, here's a report which contains images that some viewers may find offensive.
This is a rare video smuggled out of a prison in Morocco. It's just one of a few videos which have been posted online showing protests by Islamist prisoners who languish in jails across the country, all serving sentences relating to terrorism cases. Human rights organizations have reported incidents of beatings, sleep deprivation, denial of medical care, torture, and even sexual abuse. Last year, during the holy month of Ramadan, it was reported that 4 men had been raped in the infamous Toulal II prison near the city of Meknes. Several human rights organizations and lawyers who compiled statements from some of the prisoners reported that the incident first happened on July the 31st, when a number of inmates began loudly reciting the Quran. According to eyewitnesses, the prison guards physically dragged one of the detainees from his cell and beat him. A protest soon broke out, resulting in the prison director allegedly ordering the guards to rape 4 of the men. Islam Channel has managed to obtain some drawings smuggled out of a prison, which were drawn by a prisoner who depicted the different kinds of torture faced by his fellow inmates. The prison authorities strongly deny any such incidents occurred, but human rights organizations have called for an official investigation into the reports. This is not the first time Morocco has had to defend its human rights record in cases relating to political prisoners. In May last year, clashes erupted between security forces and inmates at a prison close to the Moroccan capital, Rabat. Violence broke out after security forces tried to break up a rally by Islamist prisoners who sought to protest about their conditions of detention. The fighting went on overnight, resulting in serious injuries on both sides. According to a family member of one of the prisoners, the authorities wanted to punish a detainee suspected of having recently broadcast a video on YouTube, in which you see the prisoners protest about their conditions.
Well, to discuss some of the issues raised in that report, I'm pleased to be joined in the studio by Mohammed Al-Garbouzi, a Moroccan dissident based in London, and Yusuf Dargoul, a campaigner for Moroccan prisoner rights. On the phone, we also have Adam, who is married to an inmate at the Toulal II prison that was mentioned in that report. Welcome to you all. First, can I ask you, Adam, can you explain to us a little bit about what it is that you and your family have faced with these imprisonments, particularly in relation to your husband?
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. In the beginning, I would like to take this opportunity to thank Islam Channel TV, and before answering this question, I would like to make this very little introduction. While our brothers and sisters in neighborhood are breathing now in this Arabic Spring, they are breathing freedom and justice. We in Morocco, Moroccan citizens, we are still breathing torture, humiliation, and oppression. And I would like that will finish soon, inshallah. So before to be married to a detainee in Toulal II prison, I suffered a lot by this regime. I was kidnapped with my son, who was only 10 years old. His name is Ilyas El-Mjati. He is the Moroccan and French citizen, and we were kidnapped, and we stayed 9 months in the secret prison in Temara. Until now, the Moroccan government denied the existence of this prison. It's real, it exists, and I was there with my son for 9 months. We were tortured, and my son, who was very, very, very young, lost his mind. He left this prison with a mind illness. And I lost my husband, Karim al-Majati, and my son, Adam al-Majati, who was only 11 years old. In Saudi Arabia, they were killed by opposition forces on 2005, and until now, I don't know where their bodies are buried. Last year, I got married with Mulay Omar Amrani. He was in Salah Zaki 1, and he was kidnapped with more than 200 detainees on May 16 and 17 last year, and they were kidnapped. They were tortured, and we can't explain and describe the barbarity in the way they were tortured.
Adam, can I just ask you? Can you give me some descriptions of the types of torture that they've faced in prison in Morocco?
You spoke about a rape. We have four inmates who were raped during this holy month of Ramadan. And Sister Yvonne Ridley came to Morocco, and she met the lawyer and the families, and this is true. Of course, Bin Hashim still denying this case, but we asked Bin Hashim to open his prisons and let human rights activists and press and to go into his prisons and to witness and to see if this is true or not. And this is one of kind of torture methods, and they remove nails of some borders, and they beat savagely our detainees, and last 2 days ago, we received some drawing made by some prisoners in Tulal 2, and they're describing the barbaric torture in this prison. For example,
it looked as if in one of the pictures it seemed as if they were actually urinating on the prisoners. Is that something that's happened, that they were actually urinating on the prisoners? Is that true?
Yeah. Yes, it's true. And for example, they are describing one detainee who has his hands and legs tied on his behind his back, and some guards are renting open. And for example, they are hanging the border and beating them savagely. So there are many methods of torture practiced in Moroccan prisons, and almost in Tulal 2 and Salih 2, because they are the worst prisons in Morocco.
And finally, Adam, can I ask you before I move on to our other guests? Do you know about the numbers of prisoners that are held in Tulal 2, in Salih, in Quneitra, in all of these prisons? Do we know how many Islamist prisoners are there?
More than 700.
More than 700. And
yes.
In terms of the legal system, are they subjected to a proper legal system, or are they simply, does the law not apply? Are they secret evidence, the courts deciding whether these men are innocent or guilty?
Excuse me, I didn't understand.
Sorry, are they using secret evidence to determine whether these men are innocent or not? Or are these men being given proper legal trials?
No, everybody knows that their trial was in. There's clear injustice in trials, and everybody knows now that these people are innocent. And last year, on March 25, there were an agreement between the state, Moroccan state, and the representatives of detainees, and they decide to release our prisoners. And actually, they start by releasing not a lot, but it was about 100 detainees, and they gave them to give them their rights in waiting to release completely all the detainees. So it means that the Moroccan state, who denied that these people were innocent, recognized this and this agreement. So it's why we demand the Moroccan government to release all these detainees, because it's impossible that after the bombing of Casablanca they kidnap more than 10,000 people. It's impossible that all these people they managed this bombing. It's incredible.
Adam, Jazakallah khair for sharing your thoughts and your experiences with us. I'm now going to go to Muhammad. We've heard some terrible testimony from Adam, and we've seen on the report some quite shocking pictures. You've been somebody who's been politically active and a dissident against the Moroccan government. Tell me something about what you've endured over the past years.
Even me, I've been accused falsely for being involved for Casablanca bomb. They sentenced me for 20 years in my absence. Right. But before that, weeks before that, 5 weeks or 6 weeks before that, I've been approached by Moroccan secret services.
Here in
London, yeah. They come to me in White City, anyway. Me approached and they said, can I speak to you for, I said, who are you? I said, I am, my name is so and so from, Secret Service of Morocco. Anyway, he said, see, I don't know you, and I got nothing to do with you, He said, just for 5 minutes I want to speak to you. Anyway, so he said, sorry, just I want to, what happened about Morocco? I said, look, I got nothing to do with Morocco. I left Morocco for years, and I don't go anymore there, and I don't want to speak to you again. So he said, look, just I want to ask you some question about some detainees, some prisoners.
And these prisoners were in Morocco?
In Morocco, yeah. They said they mentioned your name, that you've been with them and all that stuff. I said, no, you are torturing them, and you humiliate them, and you forcing them to, to say what you need, to confess about anything, even false, accusation, whatever. So they told me, no, but all of them, they said the same thing about you. I said, this all is lies. I don't trust you, and So from that time, he said, can I, anyway, after that, he said, look, why don't you go to Morocco? I said, I don't trust you.
And why do you think he was asking you to come to Morocco?
Well, that's the trap. They wanted me to trap me. That's why I was thinking. Because weeks before the Casablanca bomb was this conversation, because the one top man, the Secret Service, he came and,
Let me just ask you, do you think that the British intelligence knew anything at all about what was going on at the time? Do you think British intelligence were involved, especially in what we've learnt over the past few years of their involvement in the case of Binyam Mohammed and many other people? Do you have any idea about that?
No, the idea was because the Secret Services, he was accompanied by one of the MI5.
Oh, I see.
Yeah,
I see.
It was with him.
Right.
Because I don't know him.
So it was a very official, the Moroccans weren't operating by themselves.
That's right. Yes. Because them, he showed me his card, he said, me, that I am so-and-so John, and this is my,
Oh, I see.
So he showed me the card, so that's why, I speak to the guy, the Moroccan guy. So we sit down together, and, and he asked me, I said, look, about some other things, about what's happening in Morocco, the people they are doing this, we send people to, we give them passport to travel to abroad, to work, and then we find out that they are in Guantanamo, all that stuff. So anyway, at the end he said, look, the top man, he said, look, why don't you go to Morocco? I said, I don't trust you. I said, I don't trust you. He said, look, I will give you a written promises. Then when you go there, nothing will happen to you, and you will come back, and you will be example for the others. I said, okay, I will think about it. He said, the man on top of me is only one. He's the one who sent me here. You know, I said, okay, I will think about it. He said, look, you are blank. You have nothing. We have nothing against you. You can come to Morocco and you're welcome. Give me your number, all that stuff. I will contact you. I said, no, I don't give you my number. What for? If I need to go, I will go, and that's it. So from that time, after a few weeks, the incident happened of the Casablanca bomb. After a few weeks, 5 weeks after. So I was thinking, this was like a trap to me. Why they tried just to, 5 weeks before, and they said they will give me a written promises, all that stuff. What for?
So had you gone there in Morocco and been there at that time, you would have definitely been arrested and probably.
Oh yes, definitely. I'd be, I'd be.
We've been tulal like everybody else.
Yeah, tulal I will never come out like them.
Yes.
What happened to them.
And I think that what we've seen also is that as a result, of course, there was a terrible bombing that took place, but as a result of that, thousands, as Adam mentioned, there's 10,000 people that were arrested, and that doesn't include those who've been arrested by proxy. All around Europe. I'd like to ask you.
But sorry, some of them, they've been held, in prison before the Casablanca bomb.
Oh, I see.
And after the Casablanca bomb, they charged them
with the bombing, even while they were in prison.
Yeah, and they were in the prison a year before.
Yes.
You see what
yes. Yusuf, I'd like to ask you in relation to Abu Muad or Nuruddin. His case sounds particularly harrowing, and it goes back to 2002. Can you give us a brief detail of what this is about?
Good evening. First of all, Nuruddin Nafi' and his wife Maryam Shakouri were arrested in 2002 in Mauritania. Shortly after, a few days after their arrest, they were sent to Tamira prison in Morocco, where they were tortured severely. Maryam Shakouri herself never left Tamira prison until 9 months after.
Tamira prison is also Tulal?
It's a secret.
Oh, it's a secret.
It's a secret.
It's a secret prison.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which is they say that it doesn't exist.
Oh, they deny its existence.
They deny that it exists totally. She never left until 9 months after. She's partially lost her sanity. Now and again, her eyesight goes due to the torture that she was put through. Her husband was, as Brother Muhammad said, that he was in prison since 2002. He was then sentenced to 20 years. And he was connected to the Casablanca bombing. He was actually in prison while the Casablanca bombing happened.
So he's one of the cases that Muhammad was talking about just now.
And him himself talks about how he just about hang on to his sanity, and he talks about how his faith got him through it and so on and so forth, because there was times when he thought he could hear his wife being raped next door and being tortured and so on and so forth. They put him next to torture chambers. And, to be fair, it's, yeah.
Something I read on the Facebook site about this, which is the Voice for Political Detainees in Morocco, is the testimony of Nuruddin. And he mentions the thing that I want to ask you both, the thing that he says is behind all of this. Why is this happening? Surely one bombing, which is terrible, can't justify the detention, torture and abuse of thousands of people. Right. What is the reason, Mohammed? What's behind all of this?
Well, because the Morocco, they joined America on the war on terror, and they are doing the dirty work for America. That's the problem now. So because on that time before the Casablanca bomb, there were some this party now, the one is the Islamic Party won the election. Mm-hmm. In that time, it was doing good, and he was going to win the election, and plus some other laws, they try to implement them in Morocco. So the people, they go and they demonstrate against the governments. So from that time, what they do, they fabricate this bomb, the Casablanca bomb. So when they do that, so everything was passed. The war on terror, the law of war on terror is passed through the parliaments. The other law as well, it was passed. So the people, all of them, they've been silenced.
We also saw, of course, in the case of Binyam Mohammed, what's been accepted, even though that the prosecution isn't taking place in the UK, is that it's been accepted that he was rendered from Pakistan, sent to Morocco, where he was tortured and beaten, and amongst the things that happened to him, that was razor blades was used on his private parts and elsewhere. That's just one case of one person, and there must be hundreds of this. And the existence, you said, Yusuf, of a secret prison that you've mentioned in Tamara, suggests that this may have been the type of prison where somebody like Binyam could have been sent to.
You mentioned Binyam Mohammed, who's not a Moroccan citizen. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So could you imagine what happening to people who have no one else to speak for them but the Moroccan government themselves?
And you also have the details of another case, a sister. Could you explain that case?
I read about a sister whose name is Duha Abu Thabit, 25-year-old doctor who graduated and started working in Morocco, was given a good position in Morocco, who was arrested for funding terrorism. They said that her brother had gone to Iraq, and so they arrested her for funding terrorism. And she was quite a shocking case. She was put under severe torture, where her face was burnt. And as we heard from Adam, torture involves the pulling out of nails, rape, all kinds of degrading things. She was then, part of the things that they had done to her was to sort of threaten her with never seeing her child again if she didn't confess to the accusations made against her. So obviously,
do we have any knowledge of how much of this is happening to women? Is there any detail of this?
To be quite honest with you, more and more cases are coming up all the time, and there is quite a few cases concerning women. Majority of women that have been through this are inmates' wives, but every now and again there is. To be honest with you, no one's safe from there.
Wouldn't we have thought, Mohammed, that after we've seen, prisoners, for example, former prisoners taken power in Libya, prisoners who've been sentenced to 68 years in prison and more in Tunisia are now part of the leadership, for example, and people from Al-Nahda who suffered in prison in Tunisia and in Egypt. I've met the leader of the Brotherhood there who himself was in prison. They're all in power now. The tables have turned. What's not happening in Morocco? Why is this not happening in Morocco?
No, in Morocco, because the king is very intelligent. Intelligent. You know why? Because he's thinking before, when he saw that there is some demonstration every week. The people are, I can't say.
And there have been thousands of people demonstrating regularly.
All over the cities, all over Morocco, every week.
And would it be right to say that it's just the Islamists or the people with them?
No. Not all people. They are communists, they are Islamic, all mixed. So all of them, they are against the oppressed, against this government, against what's happening. This, what's happened. There's no justice in Morocco, and all what's happening. They are against what's happening. So what they do, they want justice. They want some independent judges, independent. Everything to be, not the king to be involved in everything. So that's why they try to implement. But the problem is the king, he was very interested. What he does, he said, okay, I'm going to make a reform. So what is the reform? He gave this Islamic party, to win the election, because in Arabic countries, any Islamic party who go to the election, then he will win because the people of Arabic, they are Muslims, so they will elect Muslim parties, So what he done, he gave this party to win. Because of course they win, Yes. So after that. So the people start to calm down. They say, okay, now this party is going to be, justice, and they're going to deal with us. They're going to, make some reforms, and we're going to do some trust on this, new party. But the king is still holding everything. The judge, the court, everything. The prison, everything under his control. Right. He's controlling everything. So this new government, they try to do some little work, and to make some reform. But the problem, they have no real power. They are weak. So that's what the problem. Even now, the people, they are seeing demonstrates every week. So they said we don't have a problem of Islamic parties. Even the communists, we have a problem with. We don't want the king to rule the country, to control the country. We want to be independent.
Right. Well, unfortunately, that's all we've got time for this week. If anybody would like to help and know more about this case, they can go to the Facebook website of Voice for Political Detainees in Morocco. I'd like to thank our guests, our production staff, and you at home for watching. Remember, Absent Justice is a fortnightly program, so I'll see you again in 2 weeks' time, inshallah. Make sure to join us. Assalamu alaikum.